Hey guys, welcome back to the Anime Couch with your host Jack. Sorry it's been a while since my last video. I totally meant to do a halftime report and got caught up with work and life, and my anime watching was all over the place, so figured I'd wait till the end and just do a final wrap up of all the anime I watched this season. So actually I picked up a few extra shows since my last video as well, so I'll have those in there here too. Some of them I watched to the end, some of them I dropped a little bit earlier on or I'm still watching, so I kind of figured I'd start this video with shows that maybe I dropped and then kind of work my way up to my favorite shows. So to start off with that was Momokuri. This show I picked up a little later on. Pretty fun, cute show. It's about a girl who's really obsessed with this boy, and they actually end up dating, which is cool. And really cute, but one problem I had is I kind of used the same jokes over and over again, which, so it was fun for a while, and it was like, okay, it's the same jokes. I think a dramatic turn in the show would have made it way more interesting, would have probably kept me watching it. So, certainly if you like cute romance comedies, this might be for you. Another show that I'm still watching right now, actually, but kind of a little bit at a time, is this one called Thunderbolt Fantasy. This is actually not even an anime; it's a puppet show. You might have heard about it or seen it around. It's on Crunchyroll. This show is actually is a technical. I would say it's a technical marvel. It's really awesome to watch what they do with these puppets. Like really cool special effects, really cool action sequences. Like I think for me, it's more I appreciate it from a technical point of view than really more of like a story point of view. The story is kind of a generic fantasy. It does have like some clever dialogue and stuff, but I feel like that's hampered a bit by the fact that the puppets don't really have facial expressions. They just basically blink their eyes and move their lip mouths, and most of the expression is actually done through the character's arms, like moving all over the place, which is kind of funny. But I almost feel like a lot of the dialogue would have been better, like if this was an anime. But still, it's interesting because it's a puppet show, and I think it's worth checking out just if you like want to see some really cool stuff done with puppets. Just kind of introduced me to a whole different medium, which I guess is really popular in China. So if you're looking for something maybe outside your boundaries or trying something new, check it out. It's pretty cool. Awesome music too. Um, Finally, and I'm just mentioning this one quick because I mentioned it in my first video. Onaragoro. This is that silly short anime about this guy who has a talking fart. Yeah, it's as you expect. It's totally bizarre, but it's actually strangely authentic and delivering like life advice. And each episode is only like 3 minutes long. It's really short, and yeah, I mean, I'd say it's worth checking out. It didn't really like pull me along very much. Like I've watched a few episodes. I might watch a few more down the road. I don't know, but yeah, it's fun. Check it out. Okay, so now on to shows that I actually finished. So starting off, I guess I should mention that everything I watched at the end of the season was pretty solid. There's nothing that I would call like a masterpiece, but everything was like really good, really enjoyable. Everything pretty much ranked from like a 6 out of 10 to a 8 out of 10. So kind of like solid, but not necessarily like fantastic shows. So starting off with like the 6 out of 10s. This one actually was like an OVA series, Planetarian. So this is only about 5 or 6 episodes. Kind of aired kind of in the middle of the season. So this is actually based on a visual novel from a long time ago, almost probably over 10 years ago now, maybe longer. I read this visual novel a long time ago, and it's known to be really emotionally moving. It's like a short, more like a sound novel. You can read it in about 3 hours. It's really emotional, really sad, but also had a really neat setting. So it was really cool to see that it actually got an anime. So I took that out. I would say it's definitely a must watch if you've ever played the game. It's pretty faithful to the story of the game, just kind of making it more short. Um, if you've never seen it before, or if you've never played the game before, you'd probably be better off playing the game first and then watching the show. The visuals are kind of very like last decade. Like it definitely looks like it's not done by a great studio. But the music was well done. It was very nostalgic to hear the game soundtrack again. Brought back lots of memories. So yeah, it was definitely like a fun sort of fan affair. So I'd give it like a light 6. Um, Next show, Cheerdanchi. So actually, I also picked this one up a little bit later on in the series, in the season. But yeah, this one is about a boys cheerleading team, and it takes place in college, which I kind of liked. So it's a very cool premise. Overall, it's very much a sports anime feel. Lots of tropes from sports anime. Everybody doing teamwork. Getting better and overcoming hard odds. I was a little bit disappointed by the animation as the series went on. It started off like first episode, it was really well animated. But then as it kind of went on, like animation quality kind of dropped off. More characters were off model. Rather than showing cheerleading scenes, they just had a lot of like flash cuts and stuff like that. But the overall message of the show, which was sort of like breaking the barriers that you put for yourself, was really cool. Actually, I think that as somebody my age, or like if you're like an older adult, like I feel like a lot of themes in the show kind of stuck with you more. So yeah, I enjoyed watching it. I'd give it a solid 6 out of 10. So the next series was Orange. So yeah, this was at the beginning of the season. Looked like it would be a really good show. It started off really strong. Had an interesting premise of traveling through time to save a friend. It's a very engaging sort of story. And me and my wife really got into it from the beginning. It was probably one of her favorite shows from the season too. I felt like the mid part of the series, it kind of devolves, or not devolves, it kind of becomes a romance series as the main girl and main guy are trying to get together, and it's very tropey, and I would say it's kind of weak. It's lots of misunderstandings, and oh, should I confess to them, all that kind of stuff that we've seen a million times. And on top of that, I didn't really find the main characters to be that likable. The girls they're both idiots. They're both, I'll just be frank, they're both fucking idiots. So many times you're just like, oh my god, so the middle part of the series is pretty weak, but I would say the emotional payoff at the end is worth it. Definitely last episode was really good. So I won't spoil anything else, but yeah, I would say if you're interested in this series, it might not be the best, but it's worth to watch to the end. So I'd also give that one a solid 6 out of 10. Last up in this section, a manchu. So this one is what they call a genuine iyashikei. It's kind of a new terminology I learned about, but it basically means like a chill slice of life show. Things like Hidamari Sketch, or it's actually the creator of the show also did Arya, which we also know is a very like chill, laid back kind of show. So if you like Arya, you definitely like Amanchu. It's great to sit back, relax on your couch with a drink in your hand, and just like relax at the end of the day. But it also has lots of themes to it. It's not just simple, beautiful pictures. It's got a lot of themes about life changes, moving to a new town or a new school, personal growth and experience, and also about developing friendships, new ones and old ones. So had some good themes to it too, and also some just great music. The music was fantastic, and just beautiful visual style. I think my favorite things about the show is just listening to the soundtrack and like just checking out the beautiful visuals, and yeah, just kind of drinking it all in. But it also had some really great episodes too. So I would give this one a strong 6, maybe a light 7. All right. So now on to the 7 out of 10 shows. First up, Shokugeki. So yeah, this one returned this year after about a year or so hiatus. Returned strong as ever. Still like everything you love from like the first series, still continuing on. I'd say like the novelty of like how over the top with like the food orgasms and like the visual style sort of like worn off a little bit, but it's still lots of fun. I think the action and delivery is well paced. Keeps you're always excited to kind of see what's going to happen next. And there's still a lot of like stakes, cooking steaks, not steaks as in meat, but like stakes for the main character, whether he wins or fails. So it's very exciting like that. And I think as somebody who's interested, myself, who's somebody who loves cooking, like this series always really appeals to me. So yeah, I'd say it's a light 7, light to mid 7. Always still is a great show, lots of fun. Next up, JoJo. This has been an ongoing series. The Diamond is Unbreakable saga has been going on for a couple of seasons now. I haven't really talked about it much, and it's not done yet, but I'll talk about it right now anyways. So this is, I would say, my favorite JoJo series next to Battle Tendency, which came out a couple years ago. I love it because it's got lots of style and flair. It's got well-paced action and mystery. I felt like Stardust Crusaders was a little tedious. It was a little more like shonen, like Monster of the Week, like very, I don't know, it's kind of got boring. This one I feel like keeps the excitement and everything up a little bit better. and I just love the characters too. Like it's got a lot of good characters. So I've been really enjoying this arc of JoJo. It's still gonna be continuing on, but I'd give overall like the admittedly like the animation quality is not very great sometimes, and there's some episodes that are pretty boring, and there's some episodes that are really great. So if I was to be honest, I'd give it like a mid 7, 7 out of 10 review, but definitely loving it. Okay, another series that was just unique to this season was 91 Days. So I was pretty excited about this series from the very beginning. It was definitely very thrilling, lots of twists and turns, lots of memorable moments, and anybody who's watched the show probably will have lots of moments that they'll remember for a long time. Um, yeah, it was definitely a great revenge story. On the other hand, it was sort of an average mafia story. I feel like they really centered everything about the main character's revenge. Didn't really think about how they would develop any of the other characters. The mafia story itself is very like generic. It just doesn't really take place in a real city. It's just about like Prohibition era, and like there's nothing really about any of the setting that really pulls you in. It's all kind of just like a base layer for this revenge story to be enacted on, and it kind of makes like whenever we're not talking about the revenge story, like nothing else kind of really matters. So I feel like if they had strengthened that up a little bit more, it would have made it more engaging as a viewer. But yeah, I mean, like for example, actually I was going to bring up Bacano because with Bacano you had like a similar kind of story. You had bunches of characters, and yet they were able to make each character very interesting. And even though there wasn't like a really solid central story like 91 Days had, it was still like super engaging. And every like character arc had something that mattered to you as a viewer. And this is done by the same team as that. It's just kind of interesting when you compare them side to side how each show has its own sort of style, and what made Bacano work wasn't really included in 91 Days, and I think that's why like this show kind of like didn't achieve what it could have. But I'd still give it a strong 7 out of 10. Yeah. And sort of last up here in this section, Mob Psycho 100. Actually, I think so. First of all, this show is very cool and unique. I will definitely give it lots of props for being stylistically interesting, lots of great action sequences. I know a lot of people really love this series, and I definitely enjoyed it too a lot. The only reason I don't rank it higher, like an 8 out of 10, is like it didn't like while it was like the serious comedy style story, which I generally like. One Punch Man was that kind of story. I didn't feel like it engaged with me as much. I mean, there was definitely some like interesting character. How would I say? Like the characters are all going through different things, and the way the commentary on sort of on life and also like personal growth is interesting. But I just didn't think it didn't like reverberate with me as much as it could have. But like for example, I think One Punch Man did a better job of pulling me in. I think a lot of that too had to do with the fact that One Punch Man made the villains and like every character as interesting as possible. And in One Punch Man, it's not doesn't really focus on that as much. But still, I think it was an excellent commentary on sort of the supernatural genre and life in general. So yeah, I'd definitely give it a strong 7 to maybe a light 8 recommendation. And okay, so to my two favorite shows of the season. These are both, I'd give them both 8 out of 10s. So the first one up, Sweetness and Lightning. This show, like I said from the very beginning, is just pure adorableness, and that just carried me through the whole time. Just is so sweet, so cute. It just every time I would watch the episode, I'd just have a smile on my face the whole time. Tsumugi is my Daughteru. She's so adorable. I seriously wish I could just pull her out of the screen and like adopt her. So sweet. It's also very instructional, actually. Like all the this is about cooking in essence, and actually every episode they make a new dish, and you could seriously watch this anime and figure out how to cook what they're cooking the whole time. Pretty neat. I mean, this is definitely a great show. I think it could have been better if I would have liked to see them incorporate sort of the death of the mother more into the story. It kind of comes up in a couple episodes, but I feel like the show could have been more like thematically deeper if they had kind of maybe talked a little bit more about how to deal with death of a loved one or a family member, and how that impacts a family and stuff. And they didn't really kind of involve that too much. So But still, it was a very good show. Just excellent, heartwarming. Just always leave you in a better mood. After you saw it. So, yeah. And finally, I think the best show this season, and also one that was pretty unique in its own right, Real Life. Was unique, like I said at the beginning of this season. What's unique about this show is that they released it all at once in one big chunk. You could watch it, marathon it all at once if you wanted to. Um, but overall, I mean, this is a very solid show. It's hard to kind of stick in a genre. It's kind of slice of life, kind of romance comedy, a drama. I'd probably call it like a drama slash comedy. But I think it's sort of like a show about life, basically. And I think what really was strong about the show is it had great characters. Like, how most rom-coms have like the shitty main character who's an idiot. Well, the main character in the show is, he's not perfect, but he's very smart. He's very relatable. He's both flawed and has strengths. And I think that, especially an older person too, you can relate to him a lot better. And all the characters in general are very like likable. Even though they're not perfect, there's no like Mary Sue's or anything, but they all are very engaging and likable characters, and it's just cool to see them interact with each other. Um, and the whole caveat of the show makes it interesting, about this guy going back and trying to improve, his life through re-experiencing high school again. And I think that it was definitely interesting, and there was, some really great moments and character arcs in the show that were really fun to watch. It sort of has an inconclusive ending that hints that they're gonna make another season of this, which is cool. If they do make one, it would have been nice to see this wrap up in one. It could have definitely wrapped up in one series, but I think Digi also mentioned in his video that there's a lot more that can be explored here too. So I'm definitely, both looking forward to and hoping that they make a sequel to this series. So another neat point about the show is all the ending songs were all like songs, like throwback songs from when like my wife was younger, in high school. Kind of like I think it echoes the fact that the main character is an older guy, so all the songs would be from like when he was in high school. So it's a lot of these old throwback songs that my wife enjoyed quite a bunch hearing. So she really loved the show too. I think this is probably her favorite show from the season. So, and also mine. So anyway, so that about wraps it up. I'm gonna end this video before it gets too long. But yeah, if you had anything that you liked watching this season, let me know in the comments, or reply on Facebook. And yeah, and looking forward to this next season too. Sorry for how late this came out, but yeah, see you guys in the next one.